know that everybody has their own opinions, but my favorite crochet hooks to use are just those cheapo metal ones. Don't get me wrong, I would love to have a whole set of fancy crochet hooks, but have you guys priced those things? Fancy crochet hooks can get so spendy. They are totally worth it and are so pretty, but as a longtime broke girly, that price tag has me feeling a bit faint. I might be able to get myself one every once in a while as like a birthday gift or for a special occasion, but there is no way I can get myself those on a regular basis, much less get a whole set. Good news! We don't have to go into debt to afford more comfortable crochet hooks. You guys loved my last video, 4 cheap ways to make your own ergonomic crochet hooks. So I am back again with 4 more methods to customize your own crochet hooks, and this time they're based on your suggestions and feedback. I made so many new crochet friends with that video, and you guys all left so many wonderful comments with ways to make your own cheap but comfy crochet hooks. Today we are going to try out 4 of your ideas. Plus, we're going to try out the Dollar Tree silicone beads later in the video, including a hack that might hopefully make it a little bit easier to get those beads onto your hook. Be sure to stick around for that. Why is it the instant I start recording, my cats decide they absolutely have to eat some kibble? All of today's projects are under $10, with 2 of them using supplies from Dollar Tree. I purchased the rest of my supplies on Amazon, and I will have those linked below in the description in case you guys would like to try some of them out yourselves. If any of you have other ideas on how to make crochet hooks more comfortable to hold, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. If we get enough suggestions, maybe we can do another follow-up video, so you might want to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Okay, we've established the premise, now it's time for us to customize some crochet hooks. The first thing we're going to try today is one of your suggestions from a comment, which was washi tape. I initially got a bunch of washi tape to use for journaling and ended up not using it and throwing it in a box of art supplies. So this is a good excuse to dig out all of my old washi tape and put it to use for something. These are little skinny rolls of washi tape that I picked up from Dollar Tree years ago, probably like 5 years ago. These were like 5 or 6 in a pack for $1. Well, at the time it was $1. Now it's $1.25, but inflation aside, we have our cheap washi tape. Now, all we need to do is grab a crochet hook and start wrapping. I have washi tape. I have a crochet hook. It might be better if you have like a painter's tape or a different tape that you could put down underneath to bulk it up depending on how thick you want this handle to be. I feel like there are limitations to this method just based on that. However, it's cheap and it's cute, so let's give it a go. Let's pick a washi tape to go with here. I'm gonna go with this one here that has a bunch of little triangles of different sizes. Now this is really thin tape. I don't know how well this is gonna give us coverage. Let's just stop fussing and start a wrapping, you know? All right, we're at the end of our roll. I put a whole roll of this washi tape on here, and it's honestly like not much thicker. It's pretty hard. Now, depending on how much grip you need on your hook, this might be good for you, but I feel like this is not enough. This might be better in conjunction with another method. Like if we put something else over our hook first and then used the washi tape to cover it to give it like a decorative covering, I think that might be a little bit nicer. But as it stands for like all on its own as a method, I wouldn't just use washi tape. So let's move on to our next method and see if maybe using washi tape in conjunction with something else will help us to get a nice, cheap ergonomic grip. The next method we're going to try today to make ergonomic grips for our crochet hook is going to be Pencil grips. I found a pack of pencil grips on Amazon for less than $4 and I thought, how perfect, super cheap, and there's like 10 of them in the package. Maybe this is the cheap answer for ergonomic hooks that we are looking for. And then they showed up in the mail. They're so small. Look how tiny they are. To be fair, I did not check the size measurements on what they were, but they looked so much larger online. Lesson learned, you always got to make sure to check the size measurements that you are getting something that is what you're looking for. I thought these were going to be a lot larger. One of the reasons that I thought these pencil grips might not be a good idea is because they are expected to be put on one size item. Crochet hooks vary on size of thickness based on gauge. So let's crack open the package and give them a closer look before we judge them harshly. These are made of a soft and squishy foam. It reminds me of the foam play mats or like foam puzzles that you give for little children. Here I have a 6.5 millimeter hook. Let's try putting one of these pencil grips on the 6.5 millimeter hook because it kind of looks like they are a similar size around. Okay. They are definitely bigger than the crochet hook. However, when it gets up to the grip part, it does stop moving. So maybe if you're a pencil holder person, this might be good for you. Now, I don't think we put near enough tape on this small. Oh, almost. So with the washi tape on our hook, it does seem to be, it doesn't even want to let this pencil grip on here. So hey, a combo method works. You guys. Let's see if we put this one on the opposite way. Hey, that works. This one's still a little loose because it's not got as much tape at the top, but this could be an option. If these are items that you already have laying around your house, then I'd say go for it. Like you could take some medical tape out of the first aid kit or like band-aids or painter's tape, like a masking tape, and wrap it around the stem of your hook enough to make it to where the pencil grips will stay in place. And then you could put the pencil grips on like we've done here with the washi tape. And this might actually be a valid method of getting your hooks a little squishier. However, it's still not super thick. I would not recommend buying pencil grips to do this. It's not worth your money. Save your $3, $4, whatever it is. It's just not worth it. Putting away the stuff. Put it away. The next method that we are going to try is Bendy foam hair rollers. This is another user suggestion saying that you could buy these bendable foam hair rollers that have a bendy wire in the center and take the wire out of the center and blammo, you've got a hollow squishy foam tube that you can use for your ergonomic hook handles. I happen to have these on hand already. This is something that you can buy at Dollar Tree actively. I have bought them there recently. I use these inside of amigurumi for bendable necks and legs. So conveniently, I just had to go over to my messy craft cart and pull off a package of these Dollar Tree bendy foam hair rollers. Let's crack one open and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Inside of the package, we've got a bendy tube, and if you look inside the ends here and we pull this down, you can see that there is just a piece of wire and this little button has been threaded onto a bent piece of wire. And if we take that off, we can just pull this foam tube and it's like a baby pool noodle. Now this is too long for us to use for just one crochet hook. So I'm gonna grab some scissors and we will cut this down to size and try it out. Okay, so I've got scissors, we're ready to trim it down, but let's take a look at the hole in it. Compared to our pencil grips, this hole is much smaller. So we are already in a lot better of a situation for using this for crochet hooks. In fact, it's a tight fit to put my 6.5 millimeter hook inside of this. I'm going to try just cutting this in half to see if we could maybe get 2 hook handles out of this. All right. Well, I cut it in half poorly. That's what happens when you don't measure. Okay, that was super easy. It's not nearly as large as the beauty blenders that we did in our last video. If you were looking for something smaller, um, this is a really good option. You could get 2 per roller, and there are 6 rollers in a package, which means you could get up to 12 ergonomic handles out of one package of these foam rollers from Dollar Tree. That's a pretty good value for $1.25. Yeah, it's foamy, it's squishy, and it's on there well on this 6.5 millimeter hook. Let's go down in size and see if a smaller hook fits on here better. So if you're using a 5 to a 6.5 millimeter hook, it looks like these little foam guys slip onto your hook no problem and stay in place. However, going down into the 4 millimeter, it will need a little bit of something to hold it in place. So let's try going back. We'll rewind. We'll put a little bit of washi tape on this hook and see if that helps this grip to stay in place. So we'll just grab a roll of washi tape that's handy here, and we'll try to make just like a layer. I think there's ways that you could make this work. I don't think the washi tape has enough grip on it. It's too slick. And if I put too much more, then it catches on the foam and it pulls the tape off. So that's not super successful for this purpose. I do think this would be useful in conjunction with another method or on like a 6 or 6.5 millimeter hook. As you can see, it tends to fit it perfectly on these guys. Otherwise, I think on its own, it's kind of too small for me. Like, I want it to be a little bit larger than it is. So we're going to move on to our next method and see how that works out, and then see if there's any way that we could combine all of these to make like the perfect ergonomic handle. The next method that we are going to try out today involves tennis racket grip tape. Both of these options came in a 6-pack. So we've got 6 different colors of each type to choose from. This 6-pack of pickleball handle overgrip tape was $4.99 on Amazon, and they came in a variety of bright colors, as you can see here. These also have holes in it for breathability. This 6-pack was $9.99, and it looked a little bit nicer. The colors are a little prettier to me, and it has a cute geometric pattern on the outside of the tape. While it is soft and grippy, it is not super thick, so it may take quite a bit of this wrapping around our hook to get us to an ergonomic handle. Both of these have a tapered end and a flat end. And looking at the instructions, it looks like what they're asking you to do is attach the adhesive tapered end to your tennis racket handle and then wrap this all the way around. And then when it gets up to the top, you use this tape included to seal up the end. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like this pickleball tape is going to work with this foam strip in it. Let's try this one that doesn't have the foam strip running down the back. I struggled quite a bit trying to get this overgrip tape to wrap around my crochet hook in a way that wasn't bulky or leaving gaps in areas. I somehow just assumed that it was going to be self-adhesive tape and that there was going to be like a sticky side, but it is not like that, and that did kind of complicate my vision for this. I really, really wanted this to work, and it's not working. I'm pretty bummed about this one, honestly. I thought this was going to be the answer. Okay, what if we combine this with another method? Like, what if I take our little foam tube and we put that on? Let's see if this works a little bit better. Having this foam roller piece over the crochet hook really helped to give the tape something to grip onto. It also helps that I realized that there was a clear plastic protective barrier tape on one side that was preventing this stuff from being as stretchy as it truly is. So once I was able to remove that, it wrapped a lot easier around the hook, but we still run into a problem because it's not going to be adhesive at all, and there's nothing holding this in place except for some tape they want you to apply at the end. Well, then we still have to tape it in place to try to make it stay, right? Because this is just going to fall off if I let go. I don't know. This is still not, even when I'm getting it to work, I don't know that this is going to work. I've come this far. I might as well see the whole thing through, so I put the tape on the hook. It's pretty comfortable, but I feel like it's not worth the money and the effort that's put into it, because to get where we are right now, we had to combine multiple methods and would cost you $11.25. And maybe this speaks to you. Maybe this is a method that you want to use. But honestly, I feel like it's not worth the investment. It's Grace from the future with a haircut, here to bring you an additional hook handle method. I know, I thought this video was going to be over too, but it turns out that I have one more method to show you. And when you see this, hopefully you will be as excited about it as I am. A new comment appeared on the video just after I had everything filmed and ready to go for this video, and I had to investigate their recommendation. I'll put the comment on the screen for you. And they said, why don't you try those little plastic granules that you can like melt and mold? And I'm like, what in the F are they talking about? So I went straight to the internet, found this product, InstaMorph, and we are going to try it today. You may be saying, what the heck is InstaMorph? Because I was saying the same thing. It is little plastic pellets that once they get over 150 degrees, turn into a like moldable clay, I think. I don't know. We're going to find out together. That's part of the fun of this video. One thing I thought was interesting about this product specifically is that you can reuse this. So theoretically, if we put this on our metal crochet hook, and then when we don't want to use it on this hook anymore, we could heat the hook with the plastic stuff on it in some hot water, get it up to 150 degrees, and this stuff should come off of this hook and we should be able to use it again, which I think is pretty freaking cool. When I saw that, I had to get it and I had to include it in this video. This bag is 6 ounces and it says that 1 ounce of this is equal to like 1 cubic inch. I feel like we probably need 2 or 3 inches of material to cover our crochet hook, and I have another 6.5 millimeter hook here. Fun fact about Grace, 6.5 millimeter hook is my most used hook, and I have the most duplicates of that hook. So I figure if we put it on a hook that I use a lot, it'll give me a higher chance of getting to use this on a project and then reporting back on how well it performs over time. Okay, we know what we're doing. I'm gonna go get some hot water and we'll weigh out our moldable plastic. All right, I am back with some really hot water in a bowl here, and I have weighed out about 3 ounces of our material. So I'm going to pour that into our water. Then we're supposed to wait for 2 minutes. And after that, we are allowed to mold this into shape. So we'll see. We'll just pour these in a little pile. But let's make sure that all of our pellets are submerged here. Now we wait for 2 minutes. So it's been about 2 minutes. It says on the back we should be able to remove it and mold it. It does show them using tongs, I think just to make sure you don't hurt yourself in case the water is still like scalding hot. So I do have a pair of kitchen tongs here. They're really big because these are like my actual kitchen tongs. But if you look on the little camera, you can see that these have totally changed to like a clear color. Oh, I bet I could just lift them out of here with this crochet hook. All right, I brought a little towel over. We'll move that hot water out of the way. Okay, I don't think it's so hot that I can't use it. But it is like wet. I think I'm going to let this soak a little bit longer because it's still not super moldable. I think it could be a little bit warmer. Of course, at this point, the water was no longer hot enough to make the beads moldable again, so I heated it back up on the stove and got to work trying to mold this to my crochet hook. It was immediately apparent I had way too much material, so I took about 50% of that stuff away and set it aside and tried to mold the remaining amount to my hook. I ended up having to reheat the material in the water probably 4 times throughout this process. The packaging talks about not needing to heat the material up much hotter than 150. I think they're worried about people burning themselves and getting injured. But it was my experience that it worked better when I brought the water up to an actual boil, pulled it off the stove, and then put my materials into the water and allowed it to sit for that full 2 minutes. Things seemed like they were going really well, although I did still have a little bit too much material for my liking and pulled off a whole nother chunk of it to set aside. And just when I thought that it was getting to be the appropriate shape, the hook pulled right out of the handle material. I was really worried that at this point, I'm going to have to scrap this entire idea. I thought that maybe there was water trapped between the crochet hook and the plastic material, and that was what was causing it not to adhere. So I decided to try one more time to heat up the material and put it around the crochet hook, having dried it off really thoroughly. And my hope was this time it would actually stick and work. It really seemed like the material was sticking to the crochet hook this time, and I found that once again it was coming undone. At this point, I thought, well, maybe if you like the way the handle is, you can always glue the hook inside of this material once it's finished. So I decided to keep going even though I was concerned this wasn't going to work. I finished molding up my hook handle and decided to sit it aside and allow it to harden entirely while it came down to room temperature. It's been like 15 or 20 minutes and it looks like the hook handle has pretty much solidified. It's also solidified to a hard, it's not very bendable. So it is a pretty solid material. If you were looking for something like soft or grippy or flexy, this is not going to be like that. It is, however, like comfortable for me to hold. Let's try crocheting with it though. I just happen to be ready with some yarn right here. I thought to test this out, I would just keep on making things for a project I am already working on, which is another one of my Peekaboo Pals pill bugs, which is a little crocheted plushie of a roly-poly that transforms and rolls up into a ball. This is one of his legs, and I have about 3 more of these I need to make for this one plushie I am trying to finish up right now. Why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone and test a hook while making something I was already going to make anyway? Honestly, it works pretty well. The only complaints I have with it are with the hook itself, which is a little bit sticky here. It's just not the smoothest hook that I have in my arsenal. So, other than that, I mean, the handle works fine. And one thing I was concerned about when I was forming this hook handle was that the hook was going to come out, and I've yanked on it pretty hard and it doesn't want to come out of here. So you don't need to worry about that. Overall, I think this works really well. I'm really happy to actually have something that I could recommend to you to use at home to make your own ergonomic handles. Now, the only downside is that it's not squishy compared to the Beauty Blender sponges. It is definitely a little bit heavier. It's not as heavy as it could be. It's not super heavy, but is definitely heavier than the sponges. When I have a hook that is the same size, the silicone bead handle is only slightly lighter than this material. Now, if you use less of this material, it's not going to weigh as much, obviously. I still think this is a really cool option because you can custom mold it to whatever shape or size you want it to be. And you can get color mix-ins to go with this. I just decided not to invest the money in it up front and went with just getting the material to see how it worked first. It does say you can also cut and drill it, which is really neat. This could be a handy thing to have around your house outside of crochet hook applications. The bag I purchased is 6 ounces, which is enough to make probably like 5 or 6 crochet hook handles, just based on the size that I made them. If you're making them smaller, however, it would go a lot further. They did have smaller packages that you could purchase that were even less expensive. So if you didn't even want to spend $10, you could buy a smaller package and make just like 1 or 2 hooks to see how it works for you. Either way, I'm very happy that at least one of the methods that we're putting together in this video actually is something that I would recommend to you. Speaking of silicone beads, let's cut back to me in the past. There were quite a few of you who had questions as well as some suggestions relating to using silicone beads as crochet hook handles. I figured we could take a minute or two out of the video here, since it is a follow-up, and do some of your suggestions and answer some of those questions. Some of you expressed you wanted to see me make a hook handle using the beads from Dollar Tree to see if they were any different than other silicone beads. I gave them a squeeze and inspection, and they do seem to be pretty much exactly the same as the other silicone beads that I have. However, I am going to make a hook handle using the beads from Dollar Tree today, just so that we can make sure they are exactly the same as the ones you might get off of Amazon or from other craft supply places. A couple of you recommended heating up the silicone beads to see if that makes them easier to apply to the hook handles. So here I have a bowl of hot water where I have placed some of the silicone beads in there. They've been soaking for like 5 or so minutes just to make sure that they were nice and warm. I preheated the bowl in advance as well to also make sure that the bowl didn't sap out any of the heat from the water when I put it in. I also have a little bowl of soapy water to use as a lubricant just to make sure that we don't have any problems getting the silicone beads onto our crochet hook. Another person recommended using a wet towel underneath your work surface. That way it won't slide around while you are applying your silicone beads to your crochet hook. So we're definitely going to try that out today to make sure we are being as safe as possible. Speaking of being as safe as possible, I'm going to take this opportunity one more time to warn you of the potential dangers that could happen to you while putting silicone beads onto a crochet hook. It may not look like it, but this crochet hook, under the right circumstances, is very sharp and could easily, with enough pressure, impale you through your hand or arm or another body part, and I would not want something like that to happen to you. I will be showing you the appropriate technique while I am applying the beads to this hook, but please make sure that you keep your hands and your palms free of this area while you are applying beads. Also, keep your head away from this hook while you are putting beads onto it. It's possible that with pressure, this hook could fly out of your hands and shoot upwards and hit you in the face or the eye, and I would not want any of you to get hurt. So please, please make sure you are practicing safety at all times while doing this craft. Okay, that's enough safety warnings. Let's get to the fun part, which is putting some beads on this crochet hook. All right, we have our beads soaking in hot water, we have a crochet hook, and we have some soapy water in a little jar here. And I've got a damp towel to use underneath to keep our surface from sliding around. Now we just need to pull some beads out of the water and dry them off a bit and then use them on our hook. I think that we could use some of the solid beads and some of the swirled multicolor beads on our hook together, and then we can try to pick a skull bead to go on the end of it that matches. I like these beads. They remind me of solo cups from the 90s. Look at that. Just try to get some of the water off of there and off of my hand. These do feel warm, but I honestly don't know if that temperature difference is really gonna make a big difference. But let's try it out and try putting a bead onto the hook, and then we'll judge afterwards. So same thing we did before. I'm gonna use like the captive bead of water that I got on the hook to put it over the hole on the bead here. And then that soapy water will help us to get the bead over the crochet hook. And now I'm holding this so that the hook is not inside of my palm. See how it's escaping my hand on the other side. And then I'm using like the corner of this to kind of wedge into the bead like that. And now it's kind of on here. And I'm going to put some soapy water on the hook here. And then I'm going to hold this flat part and twist and press to get this bead on further. When I first squeezed these Dollar Tree silicone beads, I felt like they were exactly the same as the ones on Amazon, but after trying to put them on the crochet hook, they do seem to be a little bit more stiff than the beads I purchased online. The damp towel really helped me to maintain my grip on the crochet hook while trying to press the beads into place. Once I managed to get the silicone bead fully onto the shaft of the crochet hook, I ended up using my gauge ruler to press down on the bead and get it down into place. The holes in this gauge ruler were super useful for this purpose. I just recommend that if you're doing something like this, you do not keep your head over the crochet hook while you're pressing down in case it comes loose and flies up towards your face. I don't want anybody to get hurt. The first bead was definitely the hardest one to get in place. After I got that one on, it seemed like the others went a little bit faster, and this gauge ruler definitely helped me with that. I just repeated that process over and over again until I had all of the beads onto the crochet hook, and I was ready to put my final focal bead of the skull on the end. There we have it. To summarize our Dollar Tree silicone bead experience, I would say that the hot water hack isn't super helpful, and I think it might be dangerous to try to heat the water further. Not all silicone is resistant to heat, so for safety, I would say hot water and heating them up wasn't really super helpful. On the second note, I'd say that the wet towel was helpful as long as it's just barely damp. You don't want there to be a lot of moisture coming out of this. But this was helpful to maintain a grip on the hook when the soapy water started to drip downwards. It also helped to keep things from sliding around too much when I was applying pressure. I do recommend having some sort of a tool to help you put some pressure on this. I found this gauge ruler really helpful because it has the holes in there. If you have a safety eye tool, that would be pretty useful for this as well. I just don't want you to hurt yourself. Please stay safe when you're using this because this was a little bit of a struggle at points to get on this larger hook with these Dollar Tree beads. I feel like you can't see this very well with the dark colored skull, and the background of my apartment looks so dark even though I have so many lights on. Oh my God. The struggles of filming in an apartment that doesn't have very many windows. I do really like how this hook turned out though, so I'm excited to crochet with this along with all of my other silicone bead hooks. I know it's going to be a new favorite. I'm petting it. I pet it like a kitty. Overall, 4 out of the 5 methods that we tested in this video were kind of a bust. If you happen to have some of those materials on hand and you want to experiment with making your own customized ergonomic hook handles, then I say go for it. If you don't have any of those materials on hand, I wouldn't recommend going out and buying any of them solely for the purpose of customizing your crochet hook handles. The only 2 methods that I could recommend that we've discussed today, I would recommend the moldable plastic beads if that's something that interested you. I will also link those products down below, as well as anything else that I used today, just in case you really do want to go out and try some. The 2 methods I think also reign supreme from our previous video would be the Beauty Blender sponges and the silicone beads. I will also link all of the silicone beads that I have on my Amazon list down below in case you want to try some of those out for yourself. So far, we've managed to find 3 different methods that I would recommend to customize your handles and make them more comfortable. Is there something else that I haven't covered yet that you'd recommend? Please leave it in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. If you tried any of the methods from the previous video, leave me a comment about that too, because I would love to hear how it's going and if it's saving your hands any pain. I've already heard from a few of you and it makes me so happy to know that I'm saving anybody even a little bit of pain. I hope watching this video made you happy. If it did, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing because I upload crochet videos like this every other Wednesday and I love to make new crochet friends. Speaking of crochet friends, you can always follow me on social media. I post daily and I am Graceface Creates on all platforms. That's it for today's video. Thanks again for watching and happy crocheting!